China's newest submarine is making waves, literally and strategically. As tensions rise in the South China Sea and beyond, this advanced vessel is changing how undersea warfare is viewed in the region. Packed with stealth technology, long-range weapons, and a unique propulsion system, it is a major advancement for the Chinese Navy. Could this new submarine shift the balance of naval power in the Pacific? How might other nations respond to China's growing underwater strength? Join us as we explore the reasons why everyone believes this Chinese submarine would change everything. China has built something new beneath the waves, a high-tech submarine that runs on batteries but charges them using a small nuclear reactor. This unique machine, called the Type 041, might just be China's secret weapon near its coastlines. It's built to be sneaky, quiet, and hard to track, especially in the shallow waters of the Western Pacific. And for the United States and its allies, that could be a real headache. This strange new sub first caught people's attention when it was spotted from space. In April, satellite pictures showed the vessel sitting at a shipyard in Wuhan, deep inside China. Analysts were quick to notice that this wasn't just any ordinary submarine. It seems to come with several cutting-edge features, including a vertical launch system, known as VLS, that can fire cruise missiles and special anti-ship ballistic missiles. Another noticeable feature is its X-shaped tail fin, which could make the submarine more agile and stable underwater. This type of tail design is usually seen on more modern submarines and helps the vessel turn quickly and safely while moving through deep waters. The addition of a vertical launch system is a big deal. Most submarines still launch missiles through torpedo tubes, which limits the number and type of weapons they can carry. A VLS, however, makes it possible to store more missiles and fire them faster. It also reduces the risk of blind spots during launch, giving the sub a much better chance of hitting its target quickly and accurately. Then, 5 months later, something strange happened. Reports began to surface that the submarine had some kind of accident while it was tied up at its dock. Some even claimed it sank right where it sat. Now, analysts and experts around the world are watching closely. Everyone wants to know if China is quietly fixing the damaged sub or secretly working on new ones. Even though it may have run into trouble early on, the Type 041 still has everyone curious. That's because of how it moves underwater. Its power system is like nothing anyone has ever seen before. Most submarines fall into one of two types. One kind is fully nuclear powered. These can stay underwater for months and travel around the world without needing to come up. The other kind runs on diesel engines and batteries. They're cheaper and quieter, but they have to surface more often to recharge. China's new submarine, though, is a mix of both. It has a very small nuclear reactor, not big enough to run the whole boat, but just powerful enough to recharge the batteries while the sub stays underwater. That means it can glide beneath the surface for long periods without the noise and heat that usually give away a nuclear sub's location. It's designed to sneak around in shallow water, close to shore, where enemy ships and submarines might not expect it. This type of system solves a big problem that submarine designers have struggled with for decades, which is how to build a sub that's both quiet and long-lasting underwater. Nuclear subs are powerful, but they're easier to detect. Diesel subs are harder to find, but they can't stay hidden for as long. By mixing both ideas, China may have found a clever way to stay hidden for days or even weeks while still having enough power to attack or defend. Of course, it's still early. No one outside of China knows exactly how many of these subs exist or how well they actually work. The accident in the harbor raises questions about safety and design. Was it just a one-time mistake, or does this new sub still have serious flaws? What is clear is that this hybrid submarine shows China is thinking outside the box when it comes to undersea warfare. If they can fix the problems and build more of these boats, it could change the way navies operate in the Western Pacific. For the United States and its allies who rely on tracking and controlling undersea movements, this quiet little submarine could cause big problems. Unlike older systems, this new nuclear battery submarine from China could quietly move at speeds of up to 9 or 10 knots while staying completely underwater. That's much faster than most conventional air-independent propulsion subs, which can only go about 4 to 6 knots. This increase in speed gives the Type 041 class a serious edge. It means the submarine could slip past Japan and cruise into the deeper waters east of the islands, hiding out beneath the surface while waiting for US or Allied ships to come near. The potential impact of this submarine in a real conflict could be huge. Let's say a war breaks out between China and Taiwan. If the United States decides to help Taiwan, as it has promised in the past, US Navy ships would likely rush across the Pacific to support them. But if a group of Type 041 submarines had already taken position days before the fighting even started, they could lie in wait, hidden and silent, ready to strike. These subs could launch surprise attacks on US Navy battle groups as they move westward into the region. That's what makes these hybrid submarines so dangerous. Their ability to stay underwater for around 20 days without surfacing, combined with their increased speed and stealth, means they could quietly prepare for battle before anyone even realizes they're there. Traditional submarines, which need to surface or move slowly while submerged, just can't compete with that kind of hidden power. Because of this, experts believe that China's Navy won't be discouraged by the reported sinking of the first Type 041. Even though there may have been an accident, China likely sees this design as too important to abandon. It's not just about one submarine, it's about creating an entire force that can challenge American and Allied navies near China's coastlines and beyond. This type of submarine could be especially powerful in the South China Sea, a highly contested area that's full of tension and military activity. The waters in the South China Sea have an average depth of more than 1,200 meters, and the sea floor is far from simple. The area is filled with tricky underwater features like islands, reefs, sandbars, and deep ocean trenches. These natural features make it a challenging place for any ship to operate, but they also offer a perfect hiding place for a quiet submarine. In such an environment, a sub with long underwater endurance and strong strike power would be a big advantage. Experts believe this new Chinese submarine could make full use of the region's deep and complex waters to avoid detection and carry out secret missions. And because of its upgraded long-range missiles, it could strike targets from far away, just like a nuclear-powered submarine can. This is a major development, because until now, only nuclear subs were known for their ability to travel long distances and launch powerful attacks while staying hidden. If this new non-nuclear sub can match those abilities, it could change the balance of power in the region. China would have a stealthy weapon that's cheaper than a nuclear sub, but nearly as powerful. More importantly, the submarine may act as a strong warning to other countries. It could serve as a silent reminder to China's neighbors and even outside powers like the United States that China is ready to defend its interests. With this new submarine quietly patrolling the South China Sea, China sends a message: stay back or be ready for a response. As tensions continue to grow in the region, the presence of this advanced submarine adds a new layer of pressure. With its long-range strike abilities and high-tech stealth system, it may become one of the most important tools in China's undersea defense strategy. Right now, China's engineers are working on mastering other advanced AIP technologies, like fuel cells and safer lithium-ion batteries. But until those systems are fully developed and proven, the nuclear battery idea may be the key to getting ahead. It's a smart way to mix old and new technology, combining the quiet nature of electric subs with the lasting power of nuclear energy without needing a full-size nuclear reactor. This could lead to a powerful nearshore defense force made up of submarines that are quiet, fast, and hard to find. These subs would be perfect for operations around Taiwan, the South China Sea, and other nearby waters. They wouldn't need to travel around the world like some American nuclear subs, but they wouldn't need to. They'd be designed to dominate their own backyard. If China moves forward with more of these boats, it could reshape how undersea warfare works in Asia. The US and its allies would have to work even harder to detect and defend against these quiet threats, especially if they appear suddenly during a crisis. But that's not all this submarine represents. It is also a creative answer to an old problem. How do you keep a mostly non-nuclear, sub-powered underwater for long periods without giving away its position? Usually, diesel-electric submarines need to recharge their batteries with diesel engines. To do that, they either have to come up to the surface or rise just enough to stick out a breathing tube, known as a snort mask, so the engines can get air. But the second they do that, they risk being seen and attacked. The other option is to go fully nuclear. Nuclear-powered subs don't need air and can stay hidden deep underwater for months. But those kinds of subs cost a lot of money to build and maintain, so not every navy can afford them. That's why many countries try a third path, installing something called air-independent propulsion, or AIP, in their smaller submarines. AIP is a clever way to help diesel subs stay underwater longer without needing to come up for air. There are different versions of AIP. Some use liquid oxygen to burn fuel and make electricity. Others rely on fuel cells, which quietly produce power through a chemical process. Then there's the Japanese Navy, which has taken a bold step by building submarines that use lithium-ion batteries. These are the same kinds of batteries found in electric cars and phones, but much larger and more powerful. They store a lot more energy than regular sub-batteries, allowing longer underwater trips. But AIP systems come with their own risks. They're not easy to build or operate. They involve lots of sensitive parts, and if something goes wrong, the results can be dangerous. Every country trying to build AIP technology faces challenges, and even the slightest design flaw can create serious problems. China, like many others, has been working on these kinds of systems, but progress hasn't been easy. Experts say the Chinese Navy has had a hard time developing advanced fuel cell systems, like the ones used by the German, South Korean, and Singaporean navies. These countries have managed to design and use AIP systems that are quiet, reliable, and effective. China has also stayed away from using lithium-ion batteries in its submarines, even though Japan has shown that it's possible. Most submarine designers still worry that these batteries are too risky, since they can overheat or even catch fire if not handled correctly. That's what makes China's new submarine design so interesting. Instead of using a complicated AIP system or risky high-powered batteries, they've tried something different. A small nuclear reactor that's just big enough to recharge the boat's batteries while it stays underwater. This way, the submarine doesn't need to surface or snort for air, and it doesn't rely on delicate AIP parts or dangerous battery tech. It's a smart middle ground, a mix of the quietness of diesel subs and the endurance of nuclear ones, without the full costs or dangers of either. While China still has work to do to perfect this idea, it shows they're thinking creatively. If this new system works, it could change how small submarines operate, making them harder to find and better at sneaking around in shallow waters. Other navies will surely be paying close attention, because if China figures it out first, the underwater game might never be the same again. But while it sounds like a dream come true, there are areas of concern. Chinese experts have raised serious concerns about the use of advanced battery systems in submarines, especially when it comes to safety. One of the biggest dangers they point out is something called thermal runaway. This happens when a battery overheats uncontrollably, which can lead to fires, even while a submarine is deep underwater. In that situation, a fire isn't just dangerous, it could be deadly. Inside a submerged vessel, there's nowhere to escape, and even a small fire could quickly turn into a disaster. Because of this, some believe that using a small nuclear reactor to charge submarine batteries might be a smarter and safer option, especially for a navy like China's, which hasn't fully mastered other advanced air-independent propulsion systems. A tiny nuclear reactor doesn't get as hot as fast and is less likely to overheat compared to risky lithium-ion batteries or complex fuel cell systems. That makes it a more stable way to power a submarine while it remains hidden beneath the waves. According to analyst Dr. Sarah Kirchberger and retired U.S. Navy Captain Christopher Carlson, this nuclear-powered battery system could give China's new Type 041 submarine the ability to stay submerged for up to 20 days at a time. That's a huge leap compared to older diesel-electric submarines, which usually can only remain underwater for about 2 days before needing to surface and recharge. In fact, this new method could give the sub 10 times the underwater endurance of traditional systems. That extra time underwater is more than just a technical upgrade, it's a major strategic advantage. Right now, China's older non-nuclear submarines, like the Type 035 and Type 039 models, face a tough challenge. To move beyond the so-called First Island Chain, a line of territory stretching from Japan down to the Philippines, they usually need to surface or send up a mast to take in air. When they do that, they risk being spotted by U.S. or Allied anti-submarine patrols, putting the entire mission in danger. Any AIP system could help solve that problem by allowing the sub to stay submerged longer. But there's still a catch. Subs powered by conventional AIP systems such as those using fuel cells or liquid oxygen, can't move very fast while underwater. Their top speed when using these systems is often only between 4 and 6 knots. That means they can't get far or escape quickly if they're spotted. This is where the Type 041's nuclear-charged battery comes into play. If the small reactor allows the sub to not only stay hidden, but also move faster than those traditional AIP subs, it could give China's Navy a big tactical edge. It would be able to sneak past enemy lines, stay off the radar, and potentially launch attacks without ever being seen. Of course, this idea is still being tested. China's new hybrid submarine concept is just beginning to show what it can do. But if the design works and the safety concerns are truly under control, this could be a game changer in modern naval warfare. Instead of picking between quiet but limited diesel subs or powerful but noisy nuclear ones, China may have found a third option that combines the best of both worlds. Other navies will definitely be watching closely, and they have to, because whether this advanced submarine is sent out on its own or with a small group, it could force enemy forces, like those of the United States and its allies, to split up and spread thin. This strategy, known as asymmetrical deterrence, could allow China to create confusion among enemy fleets and take control of key battles. The report explains that this kind of tactic would help China's main military forces gain a stronger position in terms of weapons and strength. That kind of edge, it says, could help China win important fights, especially in areas close to its shores, like the South China Sea or near Taiwan. This new sub is believed to be able to take over some of the same missions, usually handled by nuclear-powered submarines. That includes launching surprise attacks on surface ships and carrying out long-distance strikes on land targets. One such target could be the U.S. missile defense system recently set up in the northern Philippines, near China's borders. Beijing has strongly criticized the U.S. move to place its Typhoon missile launchers on Luzon Island. Chinese officials call it a major threat and say it should be removed. The U.S., however, is not backing down. It is now talking about putting similar systems in Japan, Germany, and Denmark. This is all part of a wider plan to block China's access to key sea routes in the Western Pacific during a time of conflict. As the U.S. and its allies continue to prepare, China's new submarine may become a serious factor in changing the balance. With stronger weapons, longer reach, and more advanced tech, this underwater vessel could soon play a leading role in the next chapter of power struggles beneath the sea. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.